Hello, hello. This is Krystine, your podcast host. I am here with Wella Educator, salon owner, Robin Spaulding. She has agreed to do this fabulous podcast, and I can't wait to share a little quick story about her. But before I go any further, Robin, please introduce yourself to everyone.
Hey, so like you said, my name's Robin. I actually have a salon on the west coast of Florida. You're on the East Coast. I'm on the West Coast. I'm still getting used to that. I moved here from New Orleans about 4 years ago, and about a year and a half ago, I opened my own salon. I've been a Wella educator for 6 years now, and that's kind of it. There I have a lot on the horizon, but I just like to keep myself busy, of course. And I've been a hairstylist for over 18 years. I think I'm just going to stop counting now.
Just before we started recording for today's episode, I was telling Robin, which now I'm going to tell the listeners, is that Robin was really the big push for me to start the BeautyPro Podcast. And I was so excited. She sent me a message, and a couple hours later, I began the podcast process. And Robin, just share with everybody what you were saying before, like what led you to even just send me that DM that you did?
Yeah, I think what had happened, I'm trying to even remember what prompted that, but I think I heard you being interviewed, maybe. I know I had heard you interviewed on another podcast even before this action took place, but I was like, I see you online all the time. And I know I actually came and taught a class. Sorry about the background here. I am sitting outside, but I met you in a class. Right before the pandemic, right? Was it
Mm-hmm.
before? Yeah.
Yeah, right
Um,
before.
yeah. And so I was teaching at your salon, and I felt like we just connected and we stayed in touch, over the pandemic and just in general. And I was really excited because I know that you are coaching, which I think is fantastic for like salon owners. And what you were saying on the podcast was really inspiring. And I know that you were like kind of focusing on like mental health and certain aspects that, I feel like are part of being a salon owner, but like nobody talks about like how tough it is mentally. Like we always are taking like these business courses, and we're doing all the education for our stylists. We're trying to like make sure that their skills are like top notch. But then like nobody's really there to be like, are you okay? Like we all admit it's hard, but like can somebody help us out? And I was like, yes, you should totally focus on that. Like, I mean, I know this podcast who knows where it goes, and I'm so excited to see like where everything goes for you. But I love that you were touching on that. And I was like, you know what? I need to tell her, like, yes, keep visiting that. Like, we need to talk about mental health.
Totally. And I love that you say that. I love that you say, like, is there anybody like gonna check up on me? Like, I need help here. And
Yeah.
that's really what led me to do this too, because as salon owners, it's almost like we have to educate the technical side, we have to educate the business side, we have to learn how to balance it all, even though there really isn't no such thing as balance. But in any case, like we got to like do all the things and then be able to pay it forward and teach it out.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I love podcasts, like I told you. So I'm like, one more podcast, please. Like I feel like I'm all consumed by like business and things like that. So I'm like, can we have some personal develop, like maybe focus towards us, like the salon owners, and really even all stylists need it. I feel like I'm constantly, you know, um, trying to build up my stylist and my salon. Like, hey, you did a great job. Like, don't let things eat at you. Like, you don't have to be a perfectionist, or like don't let one little comment upset you, or maybe you're overthinking it. Like it's okay if she says that it needs to be toned down a little bit. It doesn't mean you're a terrible artist. You're just, she's just giving you some feedback. So don't beat yourself up. Like I feel like I'm constantly having those conversations with them, but then like nobody's tapping me on the shoulder and being like, hey girl, you got this. Like I know
Yeah.
payroll is hard to get to this this week, and like, and you're constantly like following up with clients and, just, and hiring is such a thing. Like there's just so much that consumes us that you're at the end of the day, you crash and you're like, oh my God, why did I sign up for this? You're just like, is this really what this is?
Yes, exactly.
Why did I get into this? Yeah.
Yeah. Why did I do this to my life? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about how you even became a salon owner, because I know you were out of a suite before, right?
Yeah, that's totally correct. So I felt like I was hitting a glass ceiling a little bit there. And honestly, I mean, I know this might sound terrible, but I was kind of falling out of love with hair. And I felt a bigger calling to like basically expand and help other hairstylists. And I couldn't really figure out how to do that. I know I missed having a team and being around other stylists. I enjoyed my time in a suite, but I'll tell you, I've pretty much held every job in this industry. And, I'm an introvert and I love controlling the environment, but I missed people. I missed the camaraderie. I missed looking over my shoulder and seeing another stylist do something really cool and like high-fiving her and being like, that balayage turned out great. Like you really don't realize you're going to miss that when you go into like a solo suite situation. But, even though I didn't have some of the other hangups that I think some people have when they go into it, like financially or like trying to figure out how to get clients or, it's like, I think I'm built for business. I'm really good at that. So I was like, well, let me create an environment that I think other stylists would be really happy to go to. And in my area, it's mostly booth rent. So I found a lot of problems, finding a nice like team-based salon. There's not a lot of commission structures where I'm at. Like I'm just south of Sarasota in Northport. It's a really cool city, but it's a little older. It's kind of bland, but I do notice there's a lot of like young families moving here, and there just wasn't like a nice young person salon, or anywhere for, not only the clients who are younger to go to, but the stylist to work out of. And I felt like there were no options for kids coming out of school. Like they were going straight to booth rent and had no business knowledge and didn't even realize that they needed like kind of mentorship. So I really wanted to grow other people, to have the confidence to, kind of rock their chair. I don't know. I just saw everybody struggling. I'm seeing clients struggle to find good stylists. I'm seeing stylists struggle to find a great salon home. So I was like, I guess it's time.
Yeah.
I guess it's time for me to move on to my next, big project. And that was the salon. Yeah. And we've been here for a year and a half and it's been great. Like it's gone better than expected. I don't know what I was expecting, but really great. Yeah.
That is so cool that you were able to see like that window of opportunity where you basically established a place that is bragging rights, not only for clients, but also for employees and just other artists. Like we're building so quickly and I'm so proud of my team. You have no idea. Like I could cry over them. They're so great. I wish I had a cowbell because like every time we get a great Google review, like I'm like, I want to ring a cowbell. Like if you got great customer service, I know that sounds so cheesy. That sounds like so fun. Actually, I love that idea. I might get a front desk bell and just be like, bing, bing, bing.
Yeah. If you loved it here, like, obviously let us know. So, but clients leave excited. Like my girls come in every day and they're excited. Like everybody is so like the vibe, like no pun intended. If I hadn't mentioned it, my salon is called Five Color Lounge, but the vibe is like intense and exciting. And like everybody's like ready and shows up like professionally, but has fun. And the clients see it and feel it. And they're like just as excited to come and see us as we are to show up for them, So if you look at our Google reviews, I mean, I'm like, I hate to jinx myself because not all things, are like perfect forever. But like every single Google review is like, I had an amazing time and I had so much fun and my artist is, just like these very heartfelt messages where I'm like, oh my God, I'm just so proud of them. So that's like the real proof to me. Like whenever I have clients constantly like pull me aside and they're like, I love your salon. Like my stylist is like the best. My hair's never looked better. I'm telling everybody about you guys. You guys are doing a good thing. I'm like, there it is. Like, that's why you get up every day. Like, as hard as everything is, I'm like, those are actually like my little, my signs, right? Like, we kind of talked about me being your sign, like, start the podcast. I'm like, I do have other people in my life who, have been nice enough to pull me aside and say, you're doing great, keep going.
Yeah, you see, we all need that.
Yeah.
We all need that. It doesn't matter where we are in our life, we need that. So what's because I know this is like a big trend right now in the industry, all the toxic salons and toxic bosses and all that stuff. How are you keeping the energy, the vibe so cool and happy and collected and just good vibes? How are you doing it? Share.
So I'm going to say two things. Number one, it was structure. Well before I set up this business, I sat down and I was like, okay, we're going to do this right. I'm not naturally organized, but I was like, if I want something like this to succeed, I have to have the vision, right? So I created like a training handbook, for stylists, not just apprentices. I created the handbook, like just, the set of instructions. This is what I expect. And and of course we have systems for everything. So that was really important. Now I'm not perfect by any means, but just setting up those standards. And then number two was hiring and being picky about who I was hiring. Listen, I worked alone for a couple of months, just me and an assistant, and it was very hard. And I did get down on myself a few times, and I went through dozens and dozens of interviews. And I would come home and I'd mope to my husband and he would be like, yeah, but did you really even want to hire that person? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. They didn't fit, it's okay because they didn't fit what I'm trying to create. And so naturally the people who are meant to be in my salon are here now. And one attracted another. And it's just been great sense. It was a little slow to start, but it was because I never really dropped my standards. I didn't just hire out of desperation. I hired for who I thought would be the best fit. And that wanted that because, as we all know, if you've ever worked in a salon with like the one stylist that like doesn't follow the rules, it upsets everybody else. They're like, how come she doesn't, she can show up when she wants. And it's that one toxic stylist that kind of holds everybody back. And I haven't had to like really fire yet, like a little, but it's another story. But
another story for another episode.
Right. But so because I'm terrified to like fire people, I feel like when things end for people with me, it's going to be like a hug and a kiss and like, best of luck for your next one. Versus a fire. So I wanted to set things up to where like if I didn't feel like it was right with somebody, I wasn't going to hire them because I didn't want to have to fire them. If I felt like at some point something might bother me enough that they might get fired over it, it's better not to hire them to begin with. Too much paperwork.
Exactly. Exactly. It's too much paperwork. It's too much emotional drain. And I love that you said that you are not a naturally organized person, but you knew that you had to have your vision and even your mission and maybe your values all set in place before even getting to the hiring and putting the people in to the walls. If that makes sense. That's so important. And I do talk about that on other episodes, but I'm so happy that you're actually living that because then people can see, oh, I actually do got to do it. Oh, okay. So what inspires, sets your soul on fire outside of the salon as a stylist first and then as an owner so that you can keep showing up with those high vibes?
Ooh. I'm really lucky. I have a really inspiring husband. So my husband has like a small indie record label and he's always inspired me. He's one of those guys, like this is not a natural gift of mine, but like, so he's one of these people who like, if he's going to do something, he's going to do it like to the best of his ability and come out as like CEO, right? Like
I
he'll
love
start a
it.
job. He actually, so I'll just tell a quick story, but when I first met him, he was touring with some bands, and I was just like blown away. I was like, that's so cool. How'd you end up, touring with these rock stars and stuff like that? And he's like, I just kept begging him, like he was just like, I just really wanted to go on the road. And so I did. Right. So, cue to like a couple of years later, we had kids and I was like, you got to get off the road. And he was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll just deliver pizzas at like Pizza Hut. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I'll do that. 2 years later, he's running like 8 restaurants. And I'm like, how, right? I know. I'm like, only him. So now like his new kick, I mean, he's not in the food industry anymore, but now his kick is like, I'm going to start a record label. Like he just comes to me. He's like, I'm going to start a record label. And I'm like, yeah, do that. So now he's got this band that he's about to go out on tour with. And I'm just like, holy crap, this man, that's the person who inspires me. I'm just like, whoa, I got to match his energy, right? Like if he's like killing it. And it wasn't always that way. Like we've been married for 15 years. So it's like, we've both been in our slumps and up and down. So it's not always like, yeah, high five, honey. Like, go get that money. Like it wasn't always that way, but like, if he's going to be inspired and act that way, like I got to level up too. Right. Like, I think it's good to just have somebody around you who's like really inspiring, and same with because of that, residually, I will have to say like my kids are like top notch too. And like, we just have an amazing life because we keep that energy going like in our family. And so it translates to the salon, I love that. I couldn't have done that. Like, I have to admit, I couldn't have been that way, like, 3 or 4 years ago, like, but right now is my time. So I feel like I'm just kind of vibing off of that energy, like, why not now? Why not me? Right.
Right. And it does, it comes in waves. And right now you're on the high wave. And it sounds like you're enjoying every single second of it.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah. I am. Thank you.
You're welcome. So we're talking about all the good. Now let's get a little serious, right? Let's get a little depressing.
Let's do it.
What about your struggles, right? What is the biggest struggle or failure you've ever had to face, and how did you overcome it?
Biggest struggle or failure? That's hard because I feel like I haven't had anything that has just completely knocked me on my face. I feel like it's little things throughout my life. I know there was a time where I was not like performing my best because I was an alcoholic for a little while. So like, and that's even hard because I was like, oh, I'll just stop, and then it's the hindsight that kind of taught me that I was not performing my best because I was drinking every day. Yeah. So I think that kept me from excelling to where I'm at now. Like, but I think everything happens for a reason. Now, as far as like the hardest, I would say like that first time that like I was talking about before, I've never really like fired somebody, but I was planning to fire her. And then she like fired herself, but then she was like, but I'm quitting. And I was like, okay, you didn't show up for work. So right. I don't know what just happened. That. I'm like, what just happened? Yeah. And my husband's like, well, it looks like she did the dirty work for you. So, count it as a blessing. And I'm like, okay. So it's like that so far as a salon owner was the hardest, but like, I feel like that's like, I don't let anything be like devastating. I just roll with it. I'm like, okay, one more experience under my belt. Now I have something to learn from and moving on. And I feel like I do that with clients too. Everybody has mess ups. Everybody has difficult clients. So I'm like, okay, she didn't like her hair. It's okay. Maybe I'm not the person for her. Maybe she's nuts. I don't know. Like, we'll just figure it out. So I wouldn't say there's anything like any kind of total, like, oh God, why?
Right. Right.
So,
but it sounds like it's just like the typical beauty pro, barber pro, like lifestyle, we just like roll with it. Like, oh, okay, there goes another bump in the road. All right, let's just keep trucking, like that's what it sounds like. We're just resilient people, which I love.
I think so. Cause I hear other people who are like, oh yeah, worst thing that ever, happened. And they're like, I lost a $3 million business. And I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I don't have anything
Right.
like that to learn from. But like, I feel like it's the little things that have really, helped develop me and made me resilient. Yeah.
Yeah. What's a struggle or a little hiccup that you're facing right now, presently?
Mm, letting go of control. And I think
Mm,
I think it's a little bit masked as my people pleasing and my wanting to help everyone. So my main hang up that I'm trying to get over, and I will, is that I want to do everything for everyone. I don't want anyone to have to, well, let me take care of your clients, or let me, stuff all the new guest goodie bags. Like, you guys don't have to worry about it. And they're like, well, we'll do it, like,
right.
bring us something to do. And we'll, like, the girls on my team, they're like,
Yeah.
oh, well, if you want me to, I don't know, call that client, or to take care of that redo, or,
Mhm.
I can't even, like, anytime I take off, I'm like, hey, I can still answer the phone if, remotely. And they're like,
Mhm.
we'll handle it. It's going to be okay. So I think that I'm doing a good thing, like taking it off of their plate and just onto mine. But they're like, no, give us responsibilities.
Oh,
And I think it's disguised, it's controlled, disguised as that want to help. I don't,
yeah.
it's not that I don't trust them, because I'm like,
Mhm.
it's not
Yeah.
that. It's just so, but it probably is like a deep rooted control issue. So I'm
Right.
just kind of getting over that. Yeah.
But what a blessing that you actually have a team that is like, what are you doing? Like, we got it. And
Yeah.
that's just such a gift because you did plan accordingly and like you waited and you hired slow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's so
Because
good.
they're good people. Nobody's like, well, that's not my job. I'm like,
Right.
okay, like, I'll be like, well, like in the bathroom cleaning the toilet, and like
Uh-huh.
somebody will come in and be like, I can do that. And I'm like, no, don't worry about it. It's cool. I got,
Oh,
like stuff
yeah.
like that. They're like, you
Yeah.
don't have to do that. We'll clean. I'm like, no, it's cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So now as a beauty professional, being in the industry for so long, I don't know about you, but I've learned so much about people, regardless of where they are in their life, like what profession they do. And I've learned a lot of lessons. But what is one lesson you have learned as a beauty professional that everyone needs to know? Like lawyers, doctors, mailmans, like what's that lesson that everybody who's not a professional in the industry needs to know?
I wish you'd have sent me these questions before we
Oh,
started. That's such,
oh
because I
man.
feel like I know, I feel like I had a lot to like there. Like, this is a great question, actually, because I feel like I always have this discussion with people too. It's like,
Yeah.
I specific to our area here in, like, Florida, you have a lot of people who come in from different areas, and they're like, obviously pricing is always a really tough one. And people come in and they're like, well, in Ohio, my highlights were $75. Y'all might get that over in,
Yes.
Jacksonville too. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. We totally get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, so what, like, I I don't know, like, as an industry, like, I wish we were just a little bit more respected, and that people understood like what the high cost of doing, hair color and hair cutting and things like that is. I think people don't really see the overhead, or like don't understand it. So they're like, highlights couldn't, cost that much. And then here I am, like, breaking down every like scoop of color, and I'm like, okay, so, this highlight was just $75 in color alone, because we did, a full highlight with extra bowls and root
Mhm.
top, and, and then a gloss treatment and a Wellaplex. And,
Mhm.
so I'm like, I just, as much as I realize, like, it's not everybody outside of our industry's business to know, like, they don't really
Mhm.
care like how much it costs. I
Right.
wish that they could just like have maybe a more open mind about, like, oh, they're probably running like a pretty reasonable business, and that's just what the cost of doing business is now. So yeah, my highlights are going to be $300 because they couldn't possibly be 75 for the, like,
Yeah.
it's 2023. If they were 75 and 95, then what the heck is going on? Like, just open your mind,
Yeah.
and I'll say the same thing that I think everybody says is like, I've been doing hair for 20 years and I just, I can't wait for the day that like, somebody goes to hair school and they tell their parents and their parents are just like, oh yeah, that's awesome. You're going to do amazing. You could do this, you could do that. You're going to make so much money.
Yeah.
Because honestly, like, I think it's still like, I think we've gotten better, but I still think, we have a long way to go. I think the perspective
Mm-hmm.
is still just like, oh, maybe especially with YouTube and stuff like that, but
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, somebody could do that at home, or I'll just use some splat and
Right.
like, what's the difference between that and going to the salon? So I think we still have a lot, to prove. I wish we didn't have to do that, but I don't know. I think it'll get better as the generations, come up too.
No, I love that. And as more, I feel like the industry really is moving in a more organized direction. Like since COVID, like COVID shined a light on us in such a way that I feel like it is like growing. But I agree with you. Like I do look forward to the day when parents are like, you're gonna do what? Wow, that's so great. And like just have like these bragging rights of, well, my child is an amazing XYZ, and
Yeah.
I agree with you. And I'm happy that you shared that too, because I feel the same way. So what's you have a salon, you've worked in all the different areas of the industry, really. What's the big picture? Like what is your goal?
I think developing others. I have a heart for our industry, and I have my handful of clients that I love. Like, I keep taking away days, but they're like holding on for dear life. They're like, no, don't leave me. But I'm sort of like trying to step away from the chair so that I can spend more time mentoring my girls. And then I would like to expand the salon. I'd like to expand my reach. I really feel like I have a unique approach that can be very helpful to other people. I admire what you're doing, and I know you're a certified coach, which is so awesome. That's such goals. But I'm looking at like mentorship in some way, shape, or form. Um, and I don't know. I don't know what that looks like yet, but hopefully something pretty cool on the horizon too for that.
But that's cool to be like at this crossroad because it's so
Yeah,
exciting. Like anything could happen.
yeah, yeah. And I think I had like a huge aha moment. Like at my last Wella training, actually. Like, I love social media too. It's like definitely something that has helped my business so much. And I'm like, oh, it's a no-brainer. Like, everybody should know this stuff.
Right.
And I had picked for our training on the last day, there was like an advanced class, and they're like, well, you're either, like they split us up into groups so that we could work on social media. And they're like, well, you're either a beginner, an intermediate, or an advanced. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna pick advanced. I kind of felt like maybe I didn't deserve that,
Yeah.
title, but I was like, let me just see. I'd rather just like throw myself into the fire sometimes, even if I don't know what I'm doing. And I
Yep.
sat in that class, and I walked away, and I was telling one of the other educators that I had seen everything. I was like, I already knew that. I already knew this.
Oh,
And it was good information. Don't get me wrong.
yeah.
Everybody was going, oh, I didn't know you
Yeah.
could, whatever. And I was like, yeah, but I know that. And she looks at me and she goes, well, don't you think then maybe that's a sign you should be teaching it, or that you should be, and I was like, maybe, I don't know. And then I just have so many people since I've opened the salon reach out and go, well, can you give me tips? Can you help me out? Can and because they see what I'm doing and they see how excited we are and happy
Hmm.
we are. And I'm
Hmm.
like, well, maybe I can help other people, because I just, like I said, I love stylists. And if I can help other salon owners or other stylists, build, I think that would be amazing.
That's so
So
cool. Okay.
might be picking your brain soon.
Yeah, that's okay. I welcome it. Come
Yeah.
on over.
Yeah.
So, what is okay, so we all have our own version of success, right? Some of our dreams is to be on stage educating, some is to be traveling, some is just to, make enough money to do hair and come home and chill with the dog. Like, what is your version of success?
My version of success is
And
just being,
don't be shy about it, okay? Like let it all out.
So I manifest, and every morning I write down 10 opportunities that will be created for me.
Ooh, cool.
Yeah, which I think, I mean, I love like getting deep too. So, but I feel like it works. So I'll just pick a couple of things off my list maybe. And they're always like just happy, healthy family and more adventures. I think if I could just be truly like so financially free that I could like get an RV and work from anywhere and still
Mhm.
like, be able to, drop in on Zoom calls with my team and like touch other people and teach classes, across the United States. And, for a long time when I was younger, I wanted to do like the on stage thing. And
Mhm.
I've worked with some really amazing artists. Like I did the BTC show last year with Brianna Cisneros and Sonia Dove.
Mm.
And I mean, and I actually have worked with Sonia a couple of times. And I mean, like, that was the big goal then. So I'm like, well,
Yeah.
now what? Like, you already
Yeah.
reached it, honey. Like, what now? So, so I was
Like
like,
I did it
well,
already. Oh
yeah,
no.
now what? Got time to move the bar higher because I'm an overachiever, of course. I'm like,
Right.
well, all right, what's next? Like, you can't just like, right
Yeah.
off into the sunset. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I would love to just be completely financially free and able to just help others in whatever scenario that looks like and be able to have like amazing adventures with my family, like whatever that looks like. And just, it'd be cool if like my daughter, like I know that you're a second generation, right? Second.
Yes,
Okay.
second.
Yeah, I met your mom. She's cool.
Yes.
So like,
Yes.
so like if my daughter could come and help me with the salon eventually, she's 14, who knows what she'll do, but I something like that. I just want to continue to help others, even well after I'm able to do hair.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
started much younger, but when I was 14, I was sweeping floors.
Oh yeah.
Just an
My kids.
idea.
Yeah. My
Just planting seeds.
No, totally. My kids grew up in the salon. My son, he's 11 now. He's kind of like, do I have to go up there? But my daughter, she sits at the front desk and she checks people
Love it.
out, and oh yeah, and she is a schmoozer too. She's actually extroverted, so she like loves to chat up the ladies, and like they tip
Yes.
her. There have been times where I've had clients come in and they're like, "Where's your daughter?" And I'm like, "Oh, she's at school right now." And they're like, "Well, here's a 20 for her. Tell her I missed her." I'm like, "Are you tipping her and she's not even here?"
Yes.
They just love her. She's so cool.
I love that. Yeah, they would do that to me too. So, oh, I'm so
I love
excited.
it.
I'm so excited for her future.
Yes. Oh yeah, no, if she will not be a stylist, she will be a businesswoman for
Nice.
sure.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, what is one insult that you've gotten that you're just super proud of?
And insults I'm proud of. That was a good
Totally.
one. Okay, I remember it too. It was the last time this client came to me.
Uh-huh. The last time.
I was doing her hair, and she was, like I mean, I consider myself spiritual, but
Uh-huh.
not super Christian by any means. But and I knew she was super Christian, but she was cool. She was like,
Yeah.
she rides motorcycles. Like she
All
seemed like
right.
a hip, older person to me and everything. And we did this, she would get this cute little flippy like Dixie Chicks hairstyle, and I was like, all
Cool.
right, she's kind of edgy. So she was my girl, and I was doing her hair for a while. And one time I like stood up and like took off my apron, and underneath was a Sam Hain shirt. And I don't know if you know who Sam Hain is, but anyway, so if you know that band, The Misfits, it's like a
Okay.
follow-up band after that. So it's like skeletons and
Okay.
that kind of imagery. And it wasn't
Sure.
actually that weird looking, but I had a band tee on, and
Okay.
that's my style in the
Right.
salon. I wear like
Right.
ripped jeans and a band tee. And I took off my apron, and she sees the Sam Hain, shirt, and it's not no pentagrams, nothing too vile, right?
Right.
It just
Right.
is like a skeleton. And she's like, "Oh," she goes, "I didn't know that you were creepy." And I was like, "What? You didn't know I was creepy?" I'm like, "I have purple hair. My fingernails are black. Like we are listening to, like, what are we listening to right now? Like I'm like jamming like, like rock music."
Right.
So I'm like, when now she realizes that I'm creepy, and I never saw her again. But it stuck with me. I was like, okay, that was weird. I was like, am I insulted or am I flattered? Like,
Right.
what was it? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How
It
interesting
was,
that just something so slight made
yeah.
the biggest impact. Yeah.
And I never saw her again. Like she didn't rebook. She just, and I had been doing her for a while. It's the wildest thing. But I was like, okay, I'm not going to follow up because that, it just took me back. I was like, okay, so I was good enough, when she thought I was like normal, I guess, to do
Mm.
her hair. And then all of a sudden I'm not a Satan worshiper. Like,
Right.
just,
Right. It's so hurtful. Like
geez.
you just said it like I'm not a Satan worshiper. Like I just like the band. Like
Yeah.
what's going on? Oh man.
Yeah. I don't even think she knew who that was. So it wasn't even like,
Right.
oh, that's a
Yeah.
terrible,
Oh,
your
poor
taste in music is
thing.
awful. Yeah.
Poor baby. All right.
Yeah.
Wishing her all the good vibes.
You know what I say about people too, like, I mean, because this happens with my stylist where they'll feel personally attacked too. I'm like,
Yeah.
that person just still has some healing to do.
Yeah.
They're not happy in some place in their life and
Mhm.
it's projecting onto you. So
Yeah,
it's okay.
exactly. Exactly. All right. So
Yeah.
now we are coming to the end of our time. That was the fastest. Oh my gosh. That was so fast.
Oh, totally.
What's something that you wish I would have asked that I haven't, and what would you have said?
Oh, that's a good one. Gosh, what haven't you asked? I don't know. Oh, no, I don't. Gosh, this is hard. Like, why'd you make that hard? Something, I don't know. I don't think I knew what to expect. I was like, ooh, what are we going to talk about? This is going to be really interesting because I know you're like brand new, you're starting up.
Mhm.
So I'm like,
Mhm.
I listened to your intro podcast, which was really cool.
Oh,
I love learning like some background things about you. But
thank
like,
you.
I wish I could interview you, like I was like, I have a lot
Oh,
of questions for, yeah. So maybe I wish you to ask like if we could follow up and like just chat, like
let's do
like
it.
just to hang out. Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's hang out. I am so down.
Yeah, because I'm like, I feel like
Anytime.
you covered so much. I'm like, I don't even know where I'd go from there. So
Oh,
well done. Well done.
thank you. So we know that you're in Northport. We know that you're in Florida. How can how can people, other stylists, reach out to you, maybe work with you, or just send you a chat, like just hang out? How can they connect?
Yeah, so mostly I do Instagram, obviously. So I'm at Robin Spaulding Hair, and that's RobinSpauding hair.
Mhm.
I'm on Facebook a little bit, but not Facebook. I should do better. And then of course, like every day I'm like, I'm gonna start a TikTok, and then I'm like, no, I'm not. No. Maybe not, maybe not. So really Instagram is like the best place to find me. Right now you see like a lot of my work with Wella. You'll see a
Mhm.
lot of that there. Sometimes I share a little bit of like tidbits behind the scenes at the salon, but
Cool.
yeah, it's just kind of like a collection right now. So, but I
Love
would
it.
love to, I love chatting with other people and like just connecting and getting different people's perspective in the industry. So I would love to connect with others.
Aw, I love it. Well, there you have it, listener. You have all the things about Robin. I hope she inspired you, and yes, influenced you too. So, Robin, thank you for coming on. I love
Yeah,
this.
thank you. Oh, it was
Until
such a pleasure.
next time, or until you have your own podcast. We'll talk then.
You're gonna be guest number one.
I love it. Thank you. All right,
Thank you
listener.
so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. We'll talk to you soon.